but you also asked for more evidence based on that. Asking for more evidence after you already gave evidence is basically you asking for uh
He dropped the
confirmation
Narutopedia
or
scan. He started
for
sending
you to
manga
be
scans.
convinced. Hold on. You can't keep cutting me off, right?
Yeah, my
For
bad.
you to be convinced. So it's not that he didn't prove any of his points, it's that you wanted to be convinced. That's not really his job or his burden to prove. His burden is simply to back up his claims. Backing up his claims is basically what he already done. So if you disagreed with what my bad. If you disagreed with what he presented as evidence already, that's literally you debating on that. So asking or having contentions on that means that you lost that contentions point. That's basically how I judge pretty much any debate. If you're basically arguing on something, there's a disagreement here, you don't accept something here, he basically wins the point by you not having any more contentions in this case. And sure, I understand the fact that you're basically saying that just because he has to back up his claims, what I'm saying, that's not what I'm disagreeing with. I'm disagreeing with the fact that he already did back up his claims. So as soon as you had more contentions on the evidence that he already presented, you basically lost that point. So I do think that that's a point that you brought up. That's a contention that you brought up. You can easily lose contentions points. That's basically
Y-
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So the whole thing with the Narutopedia, I brought up how he's invoking an unknown authority because, yes, the wiki does quote a portion from the narrative, but the context that lays around said portion that is quoted is obviously not written by the mangaka that wrote Naruto. So he acknowledged this and actually did start to end up appealing to manga scans and not the Narutopedia. So I don't see how he won the point, because if his whole premise was that Narutopedia is reliable and we can appeal to Narutopedia to deduce what's happening within the narrative because of it's being quoted, and I brought up the contention in which the portion that is around said quotation is now written by the mangaka and is inherently
That
invoking an
wasn't my
unknown authority.
argument.
Yeah, and then
No,
you
it
started
wasn't.
So
sending
this
So
manga
is
scans.
that was my argument. So let me talk now. So no, I put forth the Narutopedia scan, and then my statement was that it is this what Narutopedia states is also in the manga. And then you said, "Show me this happening in the manga," and that is the reason why I showed you a manga panel of the
Yeah, and then
same
you started
stuff
sending
being
manga
stated
scans
in the
every time.
manga. So okay, so it was just supporting evidence that this thing is in the manga. So it's the same thing, Orihime. I wasn't dropping.
No, my thing was that you can't necessarily appeal to it in totality. You'd actually have to support it with the manga, which you did. So thank you. Nice loss on
in
that.
this
Anyway,
case. No, okay. So in this case, the reason why I'm saying that you lost a point, did you have contentions to what he presented?
I'll say it one more time. I said he was invoking unknown authority because of the context around the quotations that is from the narrative. And I told him he would have to provide narrative happenings to justify as to why Narutopedia was duplicating and deducing what was actually happening within Naruto. Once he sent those scans, that was fine. So he's actually appealing to my position as he's sending manga scans and justifying as to why he's fucking this what Narutopedia says is actually happening within Naruto. So,
Okay,
with
so
that being
in
said,
other words,
it's
that's
not a
basically
loss of the
contentions.
point. It's not a loss of the point. I'm rather just taking an agnostic stance and applying skepticism, calling into question his claims. If I call said claim into question, he justifies said claim to be the case. I'm not losing the point. He's just justifying his position, and we could continue within the dialectic because his argumentation would then be contingent upon what Narutopedia and the narrative says. So I'm not losing any points.
No,
And
you're not disagreeing with what I'm saying. I'm saying yes, you
yes,
also
I am, because
brought
that's
up
not a
that
loss
fact.
of a
Hold
point.
on, hold on. Let me just address that real quick, because what I'm saying is, yeah, you're repeating what I already agreed with. I agree with the fact that you're asking him to bring up more evidence from the manga. I already stated this. What I'm saying is that contentions is what I also count as a disagreement. Disagreement is points that you brought up that you can easily lose. So asking for
Okay.
evidence after the evidence is already presented just simply means that you have contentions with that. That's basically
Okay.
what I keep saying.
Yeah, but that's denounced by what I said. I said I'm going to take an agnostic stance. An agnostic stance basically entails that I acknowledge an equal possibility in which said can or cannot be the case, and I'm rather arguing against the idea that he could suffice his position to be the case and justify it with evidence, right? So I'm not necessarily in contention to his position. I'm in contention or not necessarily in contention, just arguing against this idea that he could justify and put forth the evidence that would support his position. So there's no contention because I'm already said I'm
That is a
applying
contention.
skepticism that's
There
embedded
is
within
still a
That's a
agnosticism.
contention. You
contention.
just
That's a
said argument.
contention. What the fuck?
Argument is still a contention.
No, it's not a contention with what he's putting forth. It's a contention with his capability. So it's not a disagreement. I'm not disagreeing that Narutopedia is reliable, that Narutopedia doesn't deduce what's happening within the narrative. I'm having a contention with his
Like you said,
capability and arguing against his capability to do so. That's not a contention. I'm taking a neutral stance.
Yeah, by you taking
no,
a
yeah.
stand, you are in contention with my stand, you dumb fuck. So by contention, you literally question if
If I question
Narutopedia was
something
a
I don't
real.
know
Hold
about,
on,
does that mean I
hold on,
have
wait, wait.
contention with it?
You're questioning whether this Narutopedia is a reliable source or not. And then when I present the argument on why it's a reliable source, you then go on to say that it is not a reliable source because of this. So obviously you have a
No, I
contention
acknowledge
with
once you
what
said
I
the manga
stated,
scans, I said that was
dummy.
fine.
Like what the fuck?
No,
I'm
okay,
not
you're
talking about
not
the manga
understanding.
scan. I'm not talking about the manga
So
scan. I'm
if I
talking about the
call into question,
Narutopedia scan.
okay, okay, Blue Marvel, answer me this. So if someone
Sure.
states something that I don't know about, and I call it into question, and I ask why, and they justify as to why, does that mean that I have a contention with what they said?
Once I act,
Not in this context.
when I
Yeah,
still
I
tell
don't know.
you
I don't
why,
know if. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I don't know if
by telling you a
Narutopedia is act.
stance.
Okay, Demon, I'm debating Blue Marvel, not you.
No, but
So
I'm also in this debate. So yeah. So what the fuck
okay,
is wrong with you?
so if I don't know if Narutopedia is accurately depicting what's happening within the narrative and I call it into question via your own acknowledgement of this prior instance and how it's analogous, that would entail that I'm not in contention to what he's saying. I'm just calling it into question, wondering if this is the case or if this is not the case, and if he could justify if this is the case. So I didn't lose that point because I'm not in contention to it. I'm just asking him to prove it because I don't have any
Yeah.
information on it.
Do you know what contention is?
What?
Do you know what contention is?
Yeah.
He doesn't know,
Can
obviously.
you explain what you think it is? Can you define it for me?
Yeah, a disagreement with what he says, right? So if he states that
That's not the
Narutopedia,
only. So, what other ways can you interpret it as?
what other ways can I interpret what as?
So, like, there's multiple ways of interpreting the word contention.
Yeah, but you were going off the main definition in which you were implying it because of a disagreement. But I'm explaining how I didn't have a disagreement.
No, so the fact that you don't accept something and you want
Means
something
that
to
you
be
disagree
I
with it.
didn't. I accepted it. I just asked him to prove it.
so
That's
it
not
means
as.
that you're
Oh,
saying that he
oh
didn't
my
prove it in the
god.
first place.
Okay,
Means that you didn't
right,
accept
right.
it in the
Listen to my
first place.
first analogy. Listen to my first analogy. If I don't know if I have no information on something and someone explains something to me, and I ask them to justify it by calling it into question, and they justify it, that doesn't inherently entail that I'm in contention. I've already brought up the agnostic position, in which I'm
If there's no
basically
contention, why
neutral, and
question
I'm
it?
acknowledging that there's an equal possibility in which it can or cannot be the case. This is applicable here because I don't know if Narutopedia is accurately depicting what's happening within the Naruto manga, and I'm calling it into question, asking him to justify it. I'm not necessarily in contention providing a negation on the absence of evidence. I'm saying, can you prove this and can you prove that? I'm not asserting the Narutopedia doesn't accurately depict the narrative happenings within the Naruto manga and asserting that on the absence of evidence justifying the contrary. I'm saying, can you prove it? I don't know if this is the case. It can be or it cannot be the case. You just have to justify it for me. If you can justify it, that's fine.
And I
That's not a
get that.
loss of
So
a point.
no, I get that. So that's why that's why I also brought up the point that just because you didn't accept it doesn't mean that he didn't
I
prove
did.
his
It's
point.
not that I didn't accept it. I just called it into question. You already
So
acknowledged, right? No, no,
so
no, no, no. Blue Marvel, Blue Marvel.
no,
Listen,
but
you
wait,
already
let me
acknowledged.
finish. Hold on, let me finish, right? I'm trying to be civil here, right? So no, I'm not saying that. Okay, so by default, if you do not accept something, you're disagreeing with it. If you do not accept something, that means it's not accepted.
I'm
You
not
can't
accept.
say
All right,
you
define not
hold
accept.
on. You can't say you accepted it, but you still question it. That's literally the point of questioning something that
Okay,
you
wait,
don't
no, no, no. I
accept.
think this is an
So
ambiguity fallacy. I want
hold
you to
on. So
define.
I get the fact. Hold on. So I get the fact that you're questioning it, but by questioning it, that means verbatim and by default, you're not accepting it. And by not accepting it is what I'm referring to. So
Okay,
it's not that he didn't prove the point with the wiki or with the Narutopedia. You didn't disprove the wiki. You also didn't disprove the actual argument. So that
all
means
right,
that the argument that was presented by his case was one.
all right. Blue
Questioning
Marvel,
a point that he questioning a point that he proved does not mean you won that.
Blue
But
Marvel, Blue
questioning a
Marvel.
point that you Okay, go ahead.
A boomer. Yeah, yeah. So I think this is necessarily an ambiguity fallacy. You'd actually have to define not accept and what it would entail within said context. But let me restate my contention, and then you could define it. What I'm
Sure.
saying is, when I provided the analogy, I said, do you think, right, if somebody explains something to me that I have no knowledge about, and I just ask them for justification to see if it could be sufficed as the case, and they provide it, and I accept said evidence, right? I'm not in contention to what they said. I'm just calling it into question on the absence of my own knowledge of what if it is the case. This is applicable here. You actually acknowledged that and said that's fine. This is applicable here because I don't know if Narutopedia is accurately depicting fucking the narrative happenings of the Naruto manga. So if I'm calling it into question, that doesn't entail that I'm in contention or in disagreement with that being the case. And I've already stated multiple times that I'm acknowledging there's an equal possibility that it can or cannot be the case. So I'm literally taking an
Okay.
agnostic stance and applying skepticism that's embedded within it and calling it into question to see if it is or not the case. I'm not in disagreement. I'm not asserting a negation and justify that's inherently justified in the absence of evidence for the contrary. I'm not saying Narutopedia doesn't depict the narrative happenings of the Naruto manga and then providing denunciation with my own reasoning. No, I'm just calling it into question and maintaining a neutral stance. So by your own definition of contention and disagreement, I'm not in contention. That wouldn't inherently necessitate me to lose the point.
No, okay, so you're not understanding what I'm saying. By questioning it means that you didn't accept it, right?
Oh
That
my
means
god.
that
Yeah,
you
defined it and
hold
accept.
on,
Defined it
hold
and
on,
accept.
hold on,
Defined it and
hold
accept.
on,
Define it. I
hold
asked you
on,
to define it.
hold on. Okay, hold on. You can't keep spurging me the
Yeah,
question.
just
I said
defined it and accept. Just
I'm
defined it and
going to
accept.
answer you, but let me address what you said first. So no, so by questioning it, that means that you didn't accept it from the jump. You wanted more evidence. We can't play dumb here and pretend like you accepted it, right? You didn't. So that's what I'm saying. He proved the point that he already made. Just because you was questioning the point that he already proved does not mean he no longer proved that point. He made the argument. You both agreed that you didn't have any real debunkings to the Narutopedia. So that means that he proved that point. The evidence that he gave is already proven. That's basically what I'm basing my verdict off of. And now
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
explain to you what I view as what did you ask me? What was your question?
yeah.
Was
I
it
think
question or question?
yeah. I'll give context to my question. The context of my question is because you're going off this point of contention or this term of contention. Like explaining it to entail a non-acceptance. I think you have to define what non-acceptance would actually mean within this context, so I could properly refute it because I don't know what this term means.
Okay, so just to accept something is to just have no disagreements with it or
Okay, exactly. No
question it.
disagreements. I already explained how I have no disagreements. Thank you for your
Wait, hold
concession
on.
on that.
No, no, hold on.
No,
I
no, no, no,
gave
no,
you
no, no, no. You said
explanations.
acceptance entails. You said
Hold on. I
acceptance
gave you.
entails agreement.
Hold on. You can't keep cutting me off and then pretending like I'm not saying more words, right? I said not accepting or, right? Let me finish. Not accepting or, because it's not only one word and one interpretation. So if you let me finish, you would have heard the rest. Not accepting or disagreement. It's two different ways of you not accepting something. That's literally what I'm trying to say. You didn't accept it.
Wait, so yeah, but
There's no
what does not
disagreement.
accept mean? What does not accept mean?
Means that you can question it.
Okay, so I asked you for what does accept mean?
The definition of how I'm using it.
Yeah, what is accept?
To I guess to
You
believe it.
agreeing
I
with it,
guess
babes?
or validate it or something like that.
To validate it?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Okay,
I guess the
so
regular definition.
if I don't accept it, I'm not validating it.
No, not in this case.
So what does not accept mean?
Not accepting it means that you don't accept it. Do you also hold
No,
on?
no, 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 no. What is the definition of not
Hold on. So I
accept?
guess I understand what you're talking. You're asking me the definition of accepting. That's it.
Well, no, I'm trying to break down your verbiage. If you could give me a definition of the whole term not accept, that would be fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna explain all of it in this case, right? So if you question something, is questioning something means that you're accepting it.
What? Yeah,
Simple question.
yeah.
Is questioning something means that you're accepting it.
Yeah, if I'm calling it into question on the absence of knowledge and I'm trying to attain more knowledge on said thing being the case, then I'm accepting said knowledge to justify or suffice that position to be the case. I'm not necessarily in disagreement or in contention. I'm actually accepting said thing to be the case, and I'm just calling it into question. So thank you for your concession again.
So no, that's not how it works, right? In order to accept something, it wouldn't be in question in the first place. That's like saying if I gave evidence to me saying I went to the store and I sent you a video of me going to the store, then you question the video. Questioning something does not.
It doesn't entail a
That's not.
disagreement. It's not that I
Hold on,
disagree
that's
that
not
you
a
went to the
concession.
store,
Hold on. That's also not a concession. I don't know why you keep using that word. I'm
and
simply
that's
going over the
disanalogous.
points with you. So
That's
hold on.
disanalogous.
Now, what I'm saying is, if you're questioning something, how is that accepting it?
What?
It's that
Okay.
simple. You didn't agree.
Yes.
Hold on. You didn't agree to the. You didn't agree to the Narutopedia. You asked for more evidence
I
from
did
that
not
video.
agree. I called into question why Narutopedia was valid.
Means that you didn't accept it in the first place.
That's not that I didn't accept it. No,
Okay. Why
no.
would you question something you accepted?
What? Because
Why
I've
would
already
someone
explained
question?
on
Hold
the
on. So
absence
explain
of
it right now.
when, yeah, yeah. When met with something, or met with a topic that I possess no knowledge on, I would call into question for D1 to suffice said position to be the case. He was asserting that Narutopedia accurately depicts the
Close it.
happenings that
Alex.
are within the Naruto manga. If this is the case, I'm not necessarily disagreeing and asserting a negation on the absence of evidence of the contrary. I'm rather just calling it into question. I'm accepting Narutopedia as a valid source, right? I'm just asking if he could justify as to why this is the case. I'm not in disagreement or providing a refutation or a denunciation of Narutopedia not being the case. That would be a disagreement. If I was to assert a premise or a negation, right, that would be justified on the absence of evidence, then or if I provide denunciation to D1's points that he brings up to justify as to why Narutopedia was valid, then I would be in disagreement. But no, if I'm maintaining an agnostic position and I'm neutral and acknowledging there's an equal possibility in which this can or cannot be the case, and he asserts something to be the case, and I just call him to call it into question and ask him for justification, that doesn't entail that I'm in contention or in disagreement with anything he says. I'm accepting this to be true, right? I'm just asking him for him to provide more sufficient evidence to
Hold on.
justify and to further support his position as true.
Define accepting something.
Accepting something is to consent
Yes.
to it.
Huh? Go ahead. Take it.
And is okay.
Close
What
the
other
door, bro.
interpretations can you accept something
What
with?
do you mean? What other? I gave you asked for a definition. I gave you a definition. It's consenting to something.
So
If he provides the
hold
Narutopedia,
on, hold on.
right,
So
and I
the
consent to it and
hold
just
on. The
call
word
into question
accepting
for more
only
evidence,
means conceding
huh?
or consent.
Conceding. I said consent.
Consent.
Yeah, that's how I define it. If you want to give a different definition, that's fine.
Okay. So your definition is not what I'm saying. So your
Okay,
rest of
what's
the
your
point has
definition then?
nothing to do with what I'm saying.
What's your
Okay.
definition? What's your definition?
So accepting something is to, I guess, affirm it. It's a let me look up into the interpretation. So
Yeah,
believe
got it.
something or tolerate or submit uh, I guess give approval of it. So in this case, I'm saying that you never gave approval of it. You also didn't believe in it. You also
Okay,
basically
Boo Marvel, bro.
didn't
I don't know how many
tolerate it.
times I gotta say
So
it.
that's basically what I'm
Boo
basically what I'm
Marvel.
saying.
Do you know
All
what
right.
an
So hold
agnostic
on.
stance
So
is?
hold on.
Do you know what an
Let me ask you
agnostic
this
stance?
one question. Let me ask you this one question. Did D1 prove his point of Kaguya um being a creator of chakra or not?
Kaguya?
Yes.
How is this in relation to Narutopedia?
Because this is literally what we're debating. That's literally what the debate based on.
So Kaguya, so the Naruto, so Narutopedia was depicting narrative happenings that were applicable to Kaguya.
What? Repeat that.
Narutopedia was depicting narrative happenings applicable to Kaguya. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm saying I'm asking you a question.
So if why is Kaguya relevant?
Because Kaguya is relevant in the point that I'm arguing for the fact that D1 already proved his point. And you're obviously arguing with me. So I'm asking you, do you believe D1 didn't prove his point?
Okay, I don't know what you're trying to get into, so I don't want to give an answer to that.
It's a simple question. If you're arguing with me and me saying that D1 won that point of him proving Kaguya is actually the creator of all chakra, are you
We're talking about
disagreeing
if
with
he
me
proved
on
if
that?
Narutopedia was valid.
No. So I only brought up the Narutopedia in literally an example of him proving this point. I
Yes, so
literally
let's not
use
go
hold
off
on,
of this
I use
example.
hold on. So I use the Narutopedia and I also argue for the manga. The entire point that I made was simply saying that he already proved this point. But you asked for more evidence. I'm asking you, did you
Okay.
think that he didn't win this point or he didn't prove this point? Simple
Do
question.
you think? Do you think? Okay. Okay. So that's actually exposing circularity. He's putting forth a premise, right? A premise is reasoned to be the case via substantiation, right?
Oh,
His
not just
premise
Oh
is
circular.
that
my god.
Narutopedia is valid, right? Or
You didn't
Kaguya
answer
has
his
the
question.
ability.
Like
So
what?
me calling it
Yeah,
into
can you just
question
answer my
is just
question?
asking for justification to reason said premise to be the case. I'm not in contention with said premise existing or said premise truth value, right? Him putting forth an assertion, right, and me agreeing with it is not him proving a point. That's him putting forth a proposition and it being inherently justified on the absence of my contention or the absence of my calling it into question. So, with that
You're
being
not
said,
understanding what I'm
him putting
saying.
forth a proposition that Kaguya has this capability and me calling it into question and him providing reasoning as to why Kaguya has said ability, right, is just him justifying a premise, right? It's not him. If I were to accept said premise to be the case, that wouldn't be him proving a point. That would just be taking said premise to be true, or said premise to be the case,
You're
which he would
reading.
be able
So
to
hold on.
deduce
So
a line of
so let me just say
scaling.
this. Let me say this. Right. So all I'm basically saying as to why D1 won this point is for the simple fact that you had no contention with Narutopedia. So this first evidence that he
Okay. Oh
already
no no
proved
no,
this
that's a
point.
concession. No 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 no.
So what I'm
First you said
simply
D1 won the
hold
point
on.
because I was
You
in
cut me off.
disagreement and he was able to
Hold on.
prove it. Now you just said I had no problem with it. Okay, thank you for
Why
your
do people
concession,
have to
B.
argue
No,
with
that's not what I
judges,
said.
bruh?
Hold on.
Like, you
Let me
didn't
Okay,
address
wait
that.
wait wait, Boo
disagree.
Marvel. No no no,
Let me
Boo
address
Marvel, Boo
that.
Marvel, Boo
Let me
Marvel,
address
Boo
that. Let
Marvel,
me
Boo
address
Marvel.
that.
Don't stop.
Let me address that. Let me address that. So no,
Uh,
I didn't say that you didn't disagree with it. I said you never debunked it in the first place. That's the first statement I already made when this conversation started or the debate started. Right?
my God.
I didn't contradict myself. I'm saying that you literally admitted that you had no contentions to the Narutopedia, and I only made the statement that he already proved this point. You're
Okay.
not. I'm not
Thank you. Thank
contradicting
no no no
myself.
no 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 no. Thank you
What are you
because
talking
you
about?
were saying
Well, hold on. So let
right.
me just
No no no
also
no no.
let me
Stop
address your
stop.
also last. Hold on. Let me address your also last because you cut me off twice. I'm not sure why you always complaining about getting cut off when you're doing it the most, right? So just stop. So no. So first off, I'm asking you, did you think D1 proved that point in the first place? Right? We don't even have to actually get into this and debate it any further when you already agreed to the fact that he already proved this point. And if he proved his point, that means that he already won the point. That's literally what you're not addressing.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna
No no no
prove
no
the
no.
points that you're not
Yeah.
addressing. You're going on a tangent on your
Okay. Let
belief
me address
system.
that. Let
Your
me address
belief
this, Boo
system is
Marvel.
not really based on what the factual evidence that I'm
Marvel.
literally talking about.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, dog. You can keep going. Okay, yeah. So what I'm saying is, Boo Marvel, you said D1 won these points because he provided a proposition. I provided contention to said proposition, attempted to denounce it with my own reasoning, and he justified said as the case. That's what necessitated me to lose the points. My disagreement with his proposition. As you've just acknowledged that I had no contention to what he fucking said, backtracks on your first premise that what derive or what necessitates or what entails a fucking concession is disagreement. Since you just acknowledged I had no fucking contention to what he was saying, and rather just calling it into question, possessing an agnostic stance, right? Then that obviously entails that I am not in disagreement, and that backtracks your own fucking conditions of what necessitates a fucking concession. So, with that out of the way, and you acknowledge
No,
me
that's
not
not
being
out of the
into
way.
contention to fucking what he was saying, your other point, or your last fucking point that you brought up about D1 winning the fucking points. Yeah, if he provides propositions and I called him into question on the absence of my own knowledge and he justifies that to be the case and I accept it, yes, I'm consenting to his proposition. I'm consenting to the evidence that he has given me. I'm not in contention to it. That's not him winning a point by your own fucking condition. So he didn't win any of these points. You just conceded to that.
No, I didn't concede. Let me explain. So no,
Is this
the
nigga
first point I
retarded? Like
already
he's making me
hold on.
so
Yeah,
mad,
this guy.
bro.
Yeah, he's like
Like literally.
Apollo.
You're
I
retarded.
know what he's like now. No, let me finish addressing that. So no, I didn't contradict myself, right? What I first said, and I explained exactly what I meant and how I'm using the word disagreement, right? I literally use your argument saying that you don't have any contentions. That's not me contradicting myself. That's me repeating you. What the fuck?
You said
Anyways,
what?
hold on.
You
Don't
said
cut me
what
off. Do
denotes
not cut me
somebody is
off. Do
proving a
not cut me
point
off.
is
Do not cut me
contention
off.
to
Do
their
not cut me off.
position.
Do not cut me off, or I'm just gonna serve him with you, bro. You can't keep doing this. You keep complaining about getting cut off, and I didn't even finish one sentence, bro. Stop doing that. Now that's getting me like stop it. Right? So no, that's not me contradicting myself. That's me literally using your own logic, your own statements against you. So no, I'm also arguing from two standpoints at this point. I'm saying that you did have a questioning. By questioning it, that's literally not accepting it. Not accepting it means that's a disagreement. That's my argument. What you're saying is that you didn't contend it, so that just simply means that he
Why
actually
can't
proved
you
the point in
contend
the
some
first place. So that's
bitching?
literally in the same. Bro, shut this nigga up. Anyway, so no, I made two arguments on my argument, and you
Okay,
just repeating yours. That's not
okay.
me contradicting myself.
Blue
That's not
Marvel,
a
Blue Marvel,
contention. Hold on, you
Blue Marvel.
stop cutting me off. Stop cutting
Did
me
I
off.
contend him or
Stop
no? Did
cutting
I
me off.
contend him or
Let
no?
me finish. I'll let you speak for 30 minutes straight. Hold on, right?
Okay,
So no, that's not me conceding on that point. What I'm simply explaining to you is something simple. I'm making an argument. The argument that I basically said was you're questioning something. By questioning it, that means you didn't accept it. By accepting it, you would have no problem. You would have no questioning. Whether you understood it or you didn't, right? Not understanding something does not mean that your opponent did not prove that point in the first place. So by him literally giving its evidence and you have no contention according to you, that just simply means that he didn't actually get this proven in this place. And as to the reason why you lost, and as to the reason as to why he won, is because if you're basically questioning something, that means it's now a point that you can get into to actually be debatable on. Debating on something and arguing on something or just simply questioning it means that if you prove a point within the questioning, it means that the other nigga that proved his point is going to win the point. That's how debating works. That's how arguments work. That's how discussions work. You can prove your point and win that point. And by questioning it, that's basically what I'm saying. You question something, you disagree with it. That's the
okay.
contention.
Yeah, let me just address everything you've said, and I'll
Sure,
just
go
end
ahead.
this right quick. Yeah. So when someone asserts a proposition to be the case, right, under Sagan standards, said proposition has to be reasoned to be the case via sufficient evidence that justifies it to be true, right? When someone asserts a proposition and I insert a negation, the negation is inherently justified in the absence of evidence for the contrary. So if he asserts Narutopedia is a valid source, and I insert a negation and say Narutopedia isn't a valid source, my negation and my position would be inherently justified on the absence of evidence of him sufficing Narutopedia to be valid, right? So when he asserts his proposition and says Narutopedia is a valid source, right? I've already established that I'm taking an agnostic stance. I'm acknowledging that there's an equal possibility in which said can be the case. I'm acknowledging that Narutopedia can or cannot be valid, right? And I'm arguing against the idea that he could suffice his position to be the case. I'm arguing against the idea that he could provide evidence to justify Narutopedia being valid, right? So, since I have no knowledge on whether or not Narutopedia accurately depicts the narrative happenings applicable to the Naruto manga, right? When he asserts a proposition and I call it into question, that's just asking for his justification and his reasoning as to why said would be true, right? Propositions aren't inherently justified on their existence unless they are deductive, right? If it were to be an axiom, then it would be accepted as true. But since his proposition is opinion based, right, he would have to put forth reasoning as to why said proposition would be the case, right? So me asking for said justification to be provided is not inherently a contention. You already said a contention would entail disagreement. If I'm not showing a disagreement, rather, or if I'm not in contention with this being the case and inserting a fucking negation, then I'm not taking a stance that this isn't the case and providing denunciation to disprove it being the case. I'm just rather asking for his justification and his reasoning as to why it would be the case because I already consented to the premise. I'm consenting to the premise to be true and I'm asking, can you prove this to be the case? Or if you can't, then that's fine, right? So I'm not in disagreement with his position. I'm just applying skepticism on an agnostic stance. Also, going into your further points, your condition in the beginning was if you are in disagreement, you can engage in a dialectic and formulate a synthesis on what to be true in any instance, right? If you're acknowledging that I'm not in contention and I'm actually applying this agnostic stance, then that fucking entails that I didn't concede the point because disagreement wasn't fucking prevalent in the beginning, right? Also, going on to your other point, in which you're saying that I was in disagreement. I already denounced it to be disagreement because I provided the agnostic fucking stance. So what I'm basically saying is Blue Marvel and fucking D1 is that I provided no disagreement to your position or your proposition and rather just called into question the validity of said position. I didn't insert a negation that was inherently justified. I rather just fucking asked for your justification as to why this would be the case. Me not asking or calling into question for justification to be the case would just entail that said proposition is axiom. No, it's not an axiom. It's an opinionated proposition. D1 thinks that Nartopedia is valid. I just want to know his reasoning as to why it's valid. He provided the reasoning and I accepted it, right? I was never in contention to that being the case. I acknowledged that this can be the case, and I accepted it when it was provided to do so or when it was justified to do so. Me arguing against the fucking idea literally
Damn, nigga,
implies
shut
that,
up.
yeah, you suck, bro.
Shit.
Yeah, Kenta has something to say to
Okay.
you bitch ass nigga Orihime.
Bro, you
But
literally just
Yeah.
conceded.
I'm just
I
gonna
don't
I
know if you
didn't
just. Hey,
concede.
nah,
You
Blue
don't
Marvel, you're taking
understand
too
what I'm
long, nigga. You're
saying.
Yeah.
taking too
So
long,
you're
nigga.
not
I'm gonna end this.
interested in
You're
what I'm
taking too long,
saying,
nigga.
bruh.
You're taking too long. I'll end it. You're taking too long. Do you not know you just literally conceded?
Okay, I'll explain why I didn't concede.
Hold on,
Right?
nigga. Hold
Oh
on,
no, no, no.
hold on,
Explain
nigga.
why I
Hold on.
conceded. Actually,
you have to hear his
You're about
reasoning
to say,
first. Like what?
you're about to attack a ghost point that I didn't make. All right,
okay.
nigga. You literally just said, right? In your little tangent that nobody actually gave a fuck about, right? You're literally going on, okay, right? I consented to his premise. I'm just adding skepticism to his claim, right? You know what skepticism is?
Well, yes,
Skepticism is doubt to the truth.
Like,
yes. Doubt to the
That you
truth
are
in the
applying
sense.
doubt to the
oh
truth.
my
Hold on,
god.
hold on, hold on,
Doubt to
hold
the
on,
truth.
hold on, hold
Okay.
on,
No,
hold
no,
on,
no.
hold
This
on,
is
hold
where
on.
Yeah,
it's
let
no,
y'all
no.
speak.
This
Let
is
y'all
where it's
Hey,
speak.
hold on, nigga,
contextual.
let me talk. Let me talk.
Okay.
Nigga, let
Okay.
me
Okay.
talk.
Okay. Okay.
All right? Doubt to the truth me.
Well,
Doubt to
no,
the
no,
truth
no,
me.
no, no. Go off what you think it is, because I'm gonna apply a big contention.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Nigga, if you're saying you're applying skepticism, doubt to the truth, right? That means you have to be in inherent contention because what would be the basis for your doubt to the truth if you weren't in contention?
Oh my god.
What, what would be it?
Well, are you gonna be
I
done
want to
after
hear
this?
this.
Because I'm going to
I
explain in which
want to hear it.
this.
Nigga, you just conceded. What do you
Okay,
mean you're
I'm gonna
done?
explain how I
I'm
didn't concede.
explaining
So,
why
are
you
you
just
done or
conceded.
not?
All
Are
right,
you
yeah,
done or
please
not?
go ahead. Please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Don't go
I
on a
already
rant. Do not go on
explained.
a 40-minute
I
rant,
already
bro. Keep it concise.
explained. I already explained how propositions of axiom and rather
Jesus
opinionated
Christ.
have to be substantiated as the fucking case,
Jesus
right?
Christ.
We can only take said proposition as deductive if it
Jesus,
is if it
Jesus
is
Christ.
accepted to be true universally,
Jesus
if it's an
Christ.
a priori proposition and is
Jesus
inherently
Christ.
justified via axiom, then I would consent inherently to that
Mm-hmm.
being the case. But since I've already established that propositions that are opinionated have to be
Mm-hmm.
justified, me calling said
Mm-hmm.
proposition into question is just asking for the
Mm-hmm.
justification as to why said would be the case. And
Mm-hmm.
for the definition of skepticism,
Yep.
contextual to this happening, right? I already
Uh-huh.
said that I'm taking an agnostic stance in which I'm acknowledging
Uh-huh.
that it can or cannot be the case. Since said possibility exists and
Uh-huh.
I acknowledge said possibility's existence and can apply it to
Uh-huh.
this instance in this engagement, right? When he
Uh-huh.
fucking says a proposition and I call it into question, I'm inherently consenting to it because I'm
Uh-huh.
acknowledging said possibility in which this is true. And since
Uh-huh.
in compliance with
Shut up,
how
nigga. Damn.
propositions
I
have to
get
be
it. I
justified,
get it. Nigga, I get it. I get it. Please stop. I get it.
in compliance with how propositions have to be justified, right?
Shut the
Me
fuck
It's not
up.
gonna
acknowledging
be
this
answer, bro.
possibility in which this
Bro,
is
shut the
true.
fuck up, bro.
Nigga, damn, I get it. I got it. My
Can't repeat
person
this
to
point
be
about 10
concise.
times.
Nigga, I get it. Okay? I get it. You done? Is that all you have to say?
Okay, yeah. So why did I lose?
God damn. For personally, right? I don't actually care if you won or lost
Okay, so
against
you're
D1.
dropping it. So shut the
I'm
fuck up.
No,
explaining what
shut the
the
fuck.
fuck.
No, he didn't
Nigga,
say
let
that.
me
Let him finish,
talk.
Orihime.
Let me
You don't
talk. God
care, then why the fuck
damn.
are you
What are you,
contending
an
it?
Ajax clone? God damn.
Yeah. Now
Saying,
justify.
right?
Now denounce what I said.
Oh my God.
Orihime, shut up.
Like I was saying, right? Because I stayed quiet for that long ass unnecessary tangent. So you're gonna stay quiet. Personally, I don't care if you lost or won to D1. What I'm saying is, right, in this nasty ass, horrible, retarded debate you just had against Marvel, right, on the point of if questioning something is being in contention with it, I'm just saying, right, in your little spiel, you contradicted yourself and you said you applied skepticism. Now, before you go on your Ajax rant, right, and you tell me about the epistemologies and the tautologies and the epistemology behind what a question is and subjective superiority, right? Let's just take it slow by slow. I'm going to speak English so you can understand. Agree every claim must have a basis.
What?
Do you agree that every valid claim must have a basis?
Okay, dog. This is how I know I shouldn't engage with fucking retards.
Just
A
answer it.
proposition is a
Nigga,
basis
just
for
answer the
argumentation.
bro. I'm going slow,
A
bro.
proposition is
All
the
right, I'm
basis
sorry.
for
The epistemology
argumentation.
behind it.
Argumentation
You gotta
follows
use
substantiates
his
the
terms,
proposition to be the
bruh. You gotta
case.
say proposition.
I got you. Do the epistemology behind the subjective interpretation that I'm giving you apply validity? It must have a basis.
You have to sound like a fucking.
The claim is the basis in which the argumentation follows and justifies the claim
What
to
are
be
you
the case.
talking about?
So the claim doesn't
Okay.
have the basis. The basis is the claim.
The basis is the claim?
Yes, a premise
I'm gonna teach
right,
niggas.
is the
I'm gonna teach
basis
niggas how
for
to debate.
argumentation, as
Time
the
to teach niggas how to
argumentation would
debate.
follow and justify the premise to be the case.
Time to teach niggas how to debate. Okay. You know what the formula for an argument is?
What?
You know what the formula for an argument is?
A formula for an argument? Yeah, no. You could give me your formula for an argument.
What the fuck? What are you saying? Like, nigga, like, are you not
Because you
Aristotle?
just asked if a premise has to have a basis in which the premise is the basis for the argumentation to follow.
Oh my god.
Nigga,
I assert a claim to be
You
the
just
case.
read off some random word
When I
guy,
assert
dude.
when I
He
assert
says,
something
like,
to be
reading
the
off the
case,
encyclopedia.
when I assert something to be the case, that's the basis in which
Bro,
reasoning will
bro,
come to existence and justify that specific
no,
claim.
no,
be
no.
true.
Okay, now you sound dumb because I'm like, nigga, I can understand that. I've spoken with Ajax, nigga. I can understand your bullshit. Asserting something in the claim, right? You can assert a claim, but there must be some justification behind the claim. Wouldn't you agree that's a basis? Slow, my nigga. It's a yes or no.
It's the
I
basis
don't know
for the
why you're trying to
argument.
dance
The
around
claim
the
is the basis
argument.
for the argumentation to come into existence.
Oh, fuck. The basis for I don't care for that. I'm just saying, do you think a claim basis? That's it. A valid one, at least.
I think a premise is a basis for argumentation.
You could end this all in yes or no.
Yeah, and then argumentation is the basis.
And I don't care for argumentation as of currently. It's just, do you agree?
Don't care about argumentation.
Do you agree a claim must have a basis?
Okay. Wait, can I explain how you conceded without you cutting me off?
The fuck is this nigga talking about? I didn't make a point yet.
No, stop. So a claim, right, is asserting
Just
something
answer yes or no. What the fuck?
What, like, how'd I concede? I didn't make a point yet.
No,
I didn't even make a point. What I
Can you just shut up?
do you talk to people like this in real
claim,
life, Aura?
A claim is asserting something to be true,
Nigga,
and said claim is the basis for the argumentation
Oh,
to
yeah,
follow,
you're right.
which the argumentation comes into existence and
That was
justifies the
a
claim to
stupid
be the
question on
case.
my part.
Right? If you said you don't care about argumentation, you're asking for the basis of a premise, right? The basis of a premise is
in the server, right?
argumentation that suffices the premise to be true. So if you don't care about argumentation, then you're just denying, or rather acknowledging, the absence of a fucking the basis. So you just conceded, you contradicted yourself.
Bruh.
Because argumentation is the basis to a premise. Just as a premise is the basis to an argumentation's existence, argumentation is the basis for the premise to be true.
Shut the fuck up.
So if you say you don't care about argumentation, then you're denying a basis and contradicting.
I've actually never met someone more stubborn in my life.
Mute up and let me talk to Marvel.
I've actually never met someone more stubborn in my life. This is a simple question. Do you just think a claim must have a basis? That's all. That's all I just
You
want to know.
contradicted yourself. I already explained it.
What did I contradict? I didn't make a point yet.
Let me explain it and stop cutting me off. Right? Yeah.
This nigga orihime
talk for 5 minutes. What the fuck?
It's not relevant. I don't care, bro.
Yeah. While argumentation is the basis for a claim to be true. If you say you don't care about argumentation,
there must be a basis. Are you just saying that? So you're saying there must be a basis.
You contradicted yourself.
So you're saying there's a basis. So you're saying there's a basis needed for a claim.
You just said there's not a basis, so you contradicted yourself and lost. That was your premise.
I didn't say that. I'm asking
premises have a basis, and you just said you don't care about argumentation, which I just justified to be the basis for a claim. So you just contradicted yourself and lost. So mute up. Yeah, mute up, and let me talk to Blue Marvel, you stupid fuck. You're trying to make me look like an idiot, and you're making yourself look like an idiot. Shut up, Kentai, you fucking low-tier bum. Who the fuck are you?
That was not funny. You tried so hard.
Marvel.
He tried so hard. He just tried so hard,
just
bro.
just answer.
I feel so bad.
Idiot.
Just answer his question with a yes or no.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It's just like
Yeah,
yes
this,
or
this,
no.
Dog,
you're
dog.
just trying to
This
simplify
guy
it.
talks like my English teacher,
Like
bro.
it's literally
Sounds like
just yes or no.
This guy talks like, you know, that
Okay.
increasingly verbose
He
thing?
asserted.
Just
He
repeats his points
asserted.
and
He
makes it
asserted.
more wordy, bro. That's all he
He
does.
asserted.
Nobody
He
understood
asserted.
that.
He asserted that he doesn't care about argumentation. I already explained how
I
a
just
premise is the basis for
what?
an argumentation's existence, just as argumentation is the basis for a premise to be true.
Okay,
If he's
wait. So
talking,
so
if
wait
he's
wait
in
wait.
referral
So,
to
wait, so you're
argumentation and
acknowledging there needs
justifying
to
a
be a
basis,
basis. Wait. So
justifying
you're
as a
acknowledging that
basis.
these claims need a basis, right? That's all I
Yeah,
need
but
to
you
know.
contradicted yourself,
Okay,
so it doesn't
cool, cool,
matter
cool,
anymore.
cool.
Thank you for
You
your
said yeah. I
concession.
don't give a
No, no,
fuck
no.
no more.
Thank
I
you
don't
for
give
your
a fuck no more.
concession already.
I
No,
don't
you
give a fuck
lost.
no more.
No,
Cool,
no, no.
cool, cool.
You
Let's
just
continue.
accepted your
Let's
concession. Thank
continue.
you.
Let's
Thank
continue.
you.
You
Now
just
mute
said
up.
yes. I don't give a fuck.
Now you
Now let's
didn't.
go. Now let's go.
Now
All
mute
right.
up. Now you
Now
just
if these
lost.
claims, yeah, goddamn nigga, shut up.
You know,
So like
you're
I was saying,
denying,
right?
you're
Right.
denying, you're
So like I
denying.
was
No, no, no,
saying,
no, no,
right?
no, no,
Bro,
no, no,
can
no, no, no,
someone
no, no.
This
moderate
nigga
this
talking
shit,
like
No,
bro?
that.
no, no, no.
Oro, we should have a
Argumentation is the
judge.
basis for a claim to be true. If you say you don't care about argumentation, then you're denying said basis that I've already provided to be this, like for this to be the basis. I already justified as to why
Second.
Now I gotta
argumentation is
play.
the
Now
basis.
I gotta play this. Okay,
Oro,
why?
we
Why?
should have a
Why is that?
You
judge.
lost track on the script there for a second, bro.
Yeah, you almost lost
Or
track of the script.
fucking Daft Orchid.
What?
I vote for
What
Kentai
I'm
being a judge.
saying is right. What I'm
Let's
saying
go.
is
I'd
right.
love to judge this.
For argumentation to come into existence, the premise
Oh,
is the fucking basis, right? But
so
for the
there's
premise
so
to
a
be
basis
true, the
is needed.
argumentation is the
Wait.
basis
So a
because it's the
basis is needed.
foundation that
Basis is
suffices said
needed.
premise to be the fucking case. If you
Basis
say
is
you don't
needed.
I
care
would
about
unironically lose to Dark
argumentation,
Talking,
then
That's
you
bro.
don't
not even
care about the
true.
basis that I've already justified to suffice as
So
the
a basis
basis.
is
You
needed.
He's
stupid
so
fuck.
ass
You just
retarded.
conceded
Yo,
and
found
So a
lost.
out.
basis is needed.
So
For
Kentai,
This
mute
guy's
up.
so
argumentation,
funny
Stop
for
someone
he's
else
such a
talking, speaking
nerd.
at
taking
the
attacking
retard.
like cut me off that.
So a basis is needed.
You denied argumentation as a basis. Now you're acknowledging, so you're contradicting yourself. Thank
I
you. You
didn't
lost.
deny argumentation as a
You
basis. I
said you
just
don't
said I
care
didn't
about
care about it as
argumentation
of.
That's not
Why does
denying
that mean
anything,
I'm denying it as
Pontius.
a basis?
because I already reasoned as to why this would
I
suffice as
just
a basis
justify.
for a
I just
fucking
like,
premise
well,
to be
nigga, explain.
true.
So why does me not
Or he
caring
may.
it
I
mean
think
it's
he
I
said
did
he
not?
didn't care,
Why?
as in like it's not relevant to what he's saying. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he didn't.
like
why
that.
would he
So
be
Right.
completely denouncing it? Like,
because I
why
don't
would you
think
even
like
think
I
to
don't
draw
think
that?
like not caring about
Like
something
he
means you're
said,
If
inherently
he doesn't
denying it.
about
care, if
something
he doesn't care
completely
for it to be
different.
true, no. If he has
I didn't
indifference to
say
it
that.
being
I didn't
true,
Yeah.
say I
You
didn't
see,
say that. See
Everyone
now
here
now you're
felt like
putting
he
words.
had to
I didn't
add
say that.
true to make
I didn't.
clarification. There you
You
go.
said
You
true. I
made the
didn't
if
say
he
that.
has
assumption of
My
true.
indifference to
words.
it
There you
being
I
go.
added
true,
words as
There
of
you go.
currently. I don't
There
care
you
about
go.
that.
That's it. Go back
He
to your
just
if you
point.
Now
don't,
doesn't
you're
care.
adding
okay, well
words.
that's a concession in and of itself. If you don't care
Words.
about that, and I'm sufficing your
Now you're
question by
adding words.
providing what a
How?
basis
How is that
to a
Maybe
fucking
concession?
hold
premise
on.
is, then that's a
Maybe
concession.
hold on.
Your
Maybe if when he said
contradiction, your
hold
position.
on. Maybe
How?
if when he said that and you didn't cut him off, he could have clarified what
That,
he meant.
see,
He
Instead of
said
like
he
you
doesn't
making the
care
that.
about
assumption
fucking
it's true. Instead
argumentation.
of you making the
And I've already
assumption
sufficed as to why
like
argumentation
that.
is the basis for a
Maybe,
premise.
maybe if you just like
You
keep that
cut
mouth
him
shut,
off
we
and
could
then
get
made
somewhere.
that assumption. That's what I'm saying. So let him like
It's
finish
not a
what he was saying.
bro. He literally just clarified that he doesn't care.
Or he made like real shit, bro. Like you just like start
Yo,
like
chill. I
He
just
just
want
interjecting
to
and then
cry,
clarified
you
that he
bro.
Bro,
Yeah,
he
like
doesn't
you
give a
just
speaks
fuck.
like
Just
a
let us
1,000 miles
cry.
per
Chill
hour for
out.
no
yeah,
fucking
bro.
reason.
Like if you want to like
exactly.
sound
Just
convincing in
shut the fuck
any
up.
aspect, just like
You don't
talk
sound
slowly and
convincing.
let people speak. Like nobody's gonna listen to you, bro. I'm
He just
sorry.
conceded though. I don't care about this nigga
Bro,
Oh
Kentai.
my
He
don't
never
you
said
get
he
it?
god,
You're
cared.
taking
who
his words out of
cares?
Bro,
Shut the
I
fuck
context.
can
up,
listen.
bruh.
Explain
You're
it to me,
taking his
Alright,
bro.
words
just
out of
continue.
context.
I
You're
totally
losing the blue Marvel. Shut
explain it to
up.
you,
Let
bro.
him spout. It's
Just
funny.
like
Yeah, I was just gonna get into the
He's
definitions
making
by
a
Google
fool out of
Oxford.
himself.
Who's winning right now?
Yeah.
So like,
Blue Marvel. What's the
It's
definition?
Kentai.
Since
Marvel
Kentai just
vibing
So,
lost.
right now.
so,
Blue
yeah,
Marvel.
I'm like,
so
I'm,
I
I'm
was
literally
gonna tell you
violating. I'm
the
using
thing.
the most basic English. Like, I'm using the most basic English. Like, just
And yeah,
nigga,
you
calm
still
down.
somehow found a way to concede, so it doesn't
Oh
matter.
But
my
this guy
god.
talk like
You
this too,
still have
like
not
people in
explained.
real life
You
or
still have
what?
met.
Like
Man,
these
AJ,
big
you
words,
and AJ
like
actually best friends. God
Blue
damn.
Marvel already won, bro. Let's just like
Yeah,
end it.
why? Yeah, why?
Who wants to
Why?
live on
Because
me
you
in
can't prove
Brawlhalla?
anything. You're retarded as hell and got beat up by Kentai. You suck ass.
I beat
Yeah, all you
David
do
by
is
10
Oh,
times.
all
that's
you do is
anime or
repeat your
people?
points, bro. Like,
We could
sit
debate it.
down.
Who's talking? We could
Me
debate it.
talking.
That's
You
anime,
suck.
Who's
bro.
debating?
Debate Kentai.
I
I
love
already
that.
took
Wait,
Kentai's concession. I'm
Alright,
debating on
give me
whether
I
or not
already,
he's
I already
you
wrong.
took
by any
Kentai's
hold up? You by any
concession.
chance any topics? I'd love to kick your
Kentai
ass.
already
I'd love a
conceded.
punching bag.
You lost to
Bro,
I'd
this
love
Kentai.
guy's
a
literally a debate goon. He's like,
Fuck.
oh, it's a concession, it's a concession. Like,
He's
people
gonna
Is that
do
debate
though?
that
the whole
people
VC,
do
bro.
that.
He's
Ass.
so
People
stubborn.
joke. People do that as a
Shut
joke, but he
up.
does it unironically. He's a saddle, bro. Like, he never gets it from his
Sado.
chair. Like, he's never talked to another human being in 5 years.
Fuck is
Like, he's
chemically
stayed
bonded to
in
his
his
gaming chair
basement.
relationship.
Like,
God damn, you're such a
actually,
fucking
Yeah,
loser.
that entails
Yes,
that I
you're
rule having
retarded.
interaction with him.
That entails, shut your bitch ass up. Appeal to that
that
entails
entails I don't
fallacy,
get any
dumbass boy.
bitches,
You
nigga.
retarded as
Oh,
fuck. On God, go touch grass, pussy. Fuck. There's
Okay,
no way
Boomer,
you
Bro,
give me the
walk
why,
people in
definition.
bro,
real
we
life
all
and
know
talk
touching
like this.
grass.
You're such a
If he
fucking
touched
loser.
grass, he'd like disappear like a vampire touching his grass. That nigga's like
Yeah,
mute, pussy.
Marvel, give me your definition.
Also,
Marvel, give me your
that shit.
definition.
oh man. Yeah, so I was just explaining to you my interpretation of questioning. So it's
Yeah,
just
what is it?
basically is doubt, right?
It's doubt.
And if you look into the definition of doubting something,
Yeah, I denounce that
you just
interpretation.
basically hold on, don't come here.
Okay.
So basically, I'm explaining to you the reasoning as to why you was questioning it. Did you doubt what D1 presented as evidence?
What? No, I
Okay,
didn't.
so what was the point of questioning it?
Okay, I already asserted as to why propositions that are opinionated and not axiom have to be justified to be true. So me calling into question just reasoning or listening to his reasoning and consenting to his reasoning as to why this would be the case. If I accept his proposition, rather, if I acknowledge, right? I said I'm
Who
taking an
wants to
agnostic
join me
stance.
in Brawlhalla?
I said I'm taking an agnostic stance, so I'm acknowledging the possibility in which this is the case. With this in mind and the existence of this possibility, I'm consenting to his opinionated proposition, just rather calling it into question.
You
Why did
just
I get
said you
muted?
Okay, so
agreed.
you
You're
consented.
questioning it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I consented, so not in
basically
disagreement. So that violates
he
your
proved his
condition,
point.
so I didn't lose the point. Thank you.
So he proved his point.
I
I'll keep it
consented. I
simple
consented
for you.
to his
I'll
point.
keep it
I
simple for you. So
consented
he
to it.
proved his point.
Yeah, but there was no disagreement, which was your prior
Okay.
condition. So
Oh, I
Okay,
proved my
no.
point. That was a
So
Blue
you just
Marbles
lost.
original
You
by
just
point.
lost.
Thank
questioning
you,
it,
GG.
so by questioning it, you basically doubt and disagreed with
No,
it.
it's not doubt. I already reasoned as to why it's not doubt,
No. So that's the way I interpreted it. That's why I gave my
and I'm
verdict based
denouncing
on
that
doubt.
interpretation in the context.
Yeah.
I'm
So
saying
in
if
this
I'm
case,
taking an
you're not
agnostic
disproving
stance.
what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I'm saying if I'm taking an agnostic stance and acknowledging the possibility in which this is the case,
Agnox.
if this
Yeah. So
possibility exists and he puts forth an opinionated proposition that is an axiom, right? Then if I call it
Man,
into
fuck
question
your
and ask for
opinion.
his justification with that possibility in mind, I'm consenting to his proposition as true and just listening to his reasoning, and then I accept it after, which I
he proved
did.
his point.
So he proved it on my own consent. I was never in disagreement. Your
Okay.